Hello and welcome to PlayStation Access. My name is Rosie. I am joined today by the wonderful Alex.
Hello, everybody.
Alex, this is a surprise that you get to be on a little preview video here on Access.
I'm so excited. When Rob said earlier, I think Alex should join you for this one, Rosie, I was like, yes, please, get me in there now.
But I've been able to play some Elden Ring Nightreign, which, oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk to you about, Alex. And even more excitingly, we can say that it's coming out on PS4 and PS5 on the 30th of May, 2025. And from the time I've played with it, Alex, I absolutely loved it.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that you enjoyed it, Rosie. This is one of those things, isn't it, where it's like, God, I hope it's good. I really, really hope it's good. But you, honestly, I'm just running. I want to hear all about it.
So, first of all, I just sort of want to explain what this game is, because so far we've only seen a trailer. So this is a session-based RPG multiplayer PvE experience. PvE meaning that you fight in-game obstacles like enemies and the environment rather than other players. It's its own standalone game and it's a brand new adventure. So what happens is that you start off in the Round Table Hold, where this is basically where you start before an expedition. An expedition being what run you select to determine the final boss. Okay. So in the Round Table Hold, you have a sparring area where you can practice your build's moves and try different weapons. You've got a relic menu. Relics I'll get back to in a moment. And you've got your expedition selection. So from the build of the game that we played, we only had one expedition that we could choose from, right. But it said the expedition, and then it had an icon of the boss that was going to be at the end of the run. So we knew what the final boss was going to be.
That's cool.
But everything else in the run, we didn't know what was coming.
I love that. Oh, so you know what it's going to like build towards, but there's all this mystery of what's going to happen in the run up to that big fight. Oh,
yeah.
It's kind of scary and kind of great.
So you can play either individually or in a team of 3. And you need to survive 3 days. So you've got Explore Day 1, Boss Battle Night 1, and then you've got Field Exploring on Day 2, Boss Battle Night 2, and then straight after the second boss, that's when you have the Expedition boss, which is the final one.
Okay.
And you start the run by literally, you and your party are all there getting ready, and you fly in on your flying, falcon bird thing.
Oh, yeah, the magic birds, yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they're really cool, and you fly in from an angle, and then you as a team can use that time while flying to very quickly look at the map, see what it is you've got available, and then you can, for example, pinpoint where you want to be like, oh, let's explore this area, let's explore that area. But then you've got to drop into the world. So you fly in, and then you drop in. When you do that, you are literally spending your time exploring. So you explore to upgrade your character, fight the optional bosses that you can find in the world.
Optional bosses. Yeah, that's good. Love that.
Yeah. Essentially, you want to do everything you can do before fighting, like, the 3 main bosses.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you all die in one of the 3 main bosses, so not the optional ones in the world, but the 3 main ones, it's the end of the run.
Wow. So you have to really make sure you are preparing and using that time to explore properly then.
Mm-hmm. But not only that, Alex, there's a time limit when you're exploring.
Oh, what?
Yeah, which is indicated by a ring on the map. So they're fire rings, which you might have seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
And they start off quite slow, but then when they reach a certain point, that's when the ring will speed up in closing you in, and it essentially closes you into where you're going to fight the final boss of that, or the boss of that day.
So I like the idea in a way that it really adds like a real pace to the gameplay, you know? Like, you have to explore, go out and find things, but you have to make sure you're progressing together as a team, you know, efficiently, and you're not sort of dawdling too much. I quite like that it adds a sort of a faster pace to the action, you know? That's really cool.
And also, if you get caught outside of the fire ring, you gradually lose health until you die, or you are able to run back into, like, the inside of the circle. But also, you've got character builds. So it's not as if you create your own character and have your own armor you can put on and stuff. You are given specific character builds. We had 4 to choose from in our build of the game, but we've been told that there will be more on release.
That's so cool. There's lots of experimentation, even off the bat. There's lots to play around with. That's wicked.
Yeah, exactly. So we had, this is when I pronounced the title completely wrong, but we had a Wilder, which was well balanced and easy to handle. This is the build that I used when I played it. And it starts off with a sword and a shield. So I thought, okay, for my first runs, I'll do well balanced.
Bread and
sword
butter
shield,
stuff, yeah, that's what you want.
bread and butter. We then had the Guardian build, which is much more higher defense, and the dodge rolls are a lot slower, but they've got to start with like a big chunky shield and had the more bigger weapons like spears, for example.
Right, okay, cool.
We then had a Duchess, which was a much more of the quicker pace. They can do like consecutive dodges. They're really quick, and they start with 2 smaller weapons.
Now we're speaking my language.
And then we also had the Recluse, who was the magic user. And each build also has their own skill and an ultimate move. So once you've used them, you have to wait for a certain amount of time until you can use them again. So, for example, the Wilder used a skill which had a grappling hook, so you could bring enemies closer to you, or you could get closer to an enemy. And their ultimate move was this massive fire punch. So you could combine the two, for example, use your grappling hook to get closer to an enemy, and then use your ultimate move for a fire punch.
Love that. So there's like a real, like, you can like chain the skills to really like use them. If there's a particular enemy that you need to get down quickly, you can like chain your moves and try to really like, you can like gun the enemy down as quickly as you can. That's wicked. And then having that extra level of like strategy as well, like if there are skills that benefit the whole team, like, and having to communicate, that's just really, really cool. They've sort of weaved in those synergies, you know, so that you can actually work as a team instead of everyone having individual skills that only benefit them. It's about, you know, communicating. It's like, right, target this person, then we'll target this person, and you're adding this extra layer of strategy. I'm really into it. And
also, you can have a lot of fun with it as well, because so these character builds, they're called night fairs, and you can select the same night fair in a run. So, for example, you could have 3 duchesses. It's not as if it's like one person has to be a different build. You could all be the same build if you wanted to be. So literally we had one group who was at the preview event who were all 3 duchesses, and they said that they were having a blast running around, going invisible, causing chaos, and you could hear them having a laugh and everything, and then feeling great when they've just obliterated some enemies. And at the end of each run, so let's say you've either won or you've died, you will earn relics. So I mentioned earlier that in the round table hold you have like a relic section, and these allow you to put relics on specific character builds to upgrade them. But each character build has their own set. So the relics come in different colors, and for example, a Wilder had 2 reds and I can't remember what the third color was, but maybe let's just say it was a blue, for example. So that meant that for that build, any relic I got from the end of a run, I could then put on that build, or if there's one that I thought was better for the Guardian, I could put it on there if the color matches. And the relics also have their own different levels as well, so it's really good for like feeling progression as well. It's like you still get rewarded for every run you do, because there's some relics that you can get and you're like, this is brilliant, and it will just help you get better at the game as well.
Yeah, so you feel like, you know, you're always making progression, as you say. Even if a run has gone horribly wrong, at least you are, you know, still finding ways of moving your characters and your builds forward. Yeah, that's great.
And then of course I've been talking a lot about how fast-paced the game is, so you're probably wondering, how does this work in Elden Ring, which is very like steady-paced type of game? They've made a lot of changes to make it more fast-paced. So for example, while you're running around, you've got moves like wall jumping, and you can do some more parkour. When you level up, you don't level up individual elements, it's more that you just level up everything at once.
Right, okay, so it's all a bit more streamlined in that sense. All right.
Yeah, which is great though, because when you level up on a Site of Grace, but when you're in such like a fast-paced action, you're literally like, Site of Grace, go, 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 and then keep on running. You don't have Torrent, but you do have a Spirit Spring jump, which allows you to jump really high in the air, and it's like a purple wind-looking tunnel. There's also no fall damage, so you can fall from as high as you want.
I love that. Thank you.
No fall damage, and there's no weight limits.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the weight like purely goes on your build of the character. So like I said, for example, the Duchess could do consecutive dodges, whereas the Guardian had one slow dodge. But with no weight limits, the thing with that is that you can carry only a limited amount of items and weapons. So you can carry 3 weapons on your right arm, 3 weapons on your left arm, and 4 items. And then you can also have 2 talismans as well, but that's all you can carry. So when you're running around looking for new weapons, you're constantly thinking like, oh, should I swap this out for this? Should I keep this weapon? It might be beneficial in this situation.
Oh, that's some tough decisions ahead, because Elden Ring had so many awesome weapons in it, and to be able to have to quickly make decisions while you've got this ring that's closing in, and you've got to try to keep the team moving. You're gonna have to make some quick snap decisions with weaponry. Oh man, I'm already feeling the pressure, but it's good pressure. I like it. Those decisions are where a run could make or break a run. And I love that. That's great.
Definitely. And also each weapon has a level of rarity as well.
Oh, yeah.
The HUD menu, the one on the bottom left, that's been simplified. So now you don't need to consider 2 of them. You've just got the 1. And you might be thinking, like, what about flasks? Because flasks were always a part of, like, the HUD menu. They are their own separate thing now.
Oh, okay.
And you can see how many you've got underneath your stamina, health, and FP.
That's great. It all speaks to me of a much more sort of streamlined and action-oriented experience. It's great.
But, of course, you might have a chance that one of the players, or that you, might run out of health. And you might be thinking, oh no, I've run out of health, what does this mean? Well, during a run, you can be brought back to life under a time limit. So, if you run out of HP, you will start crawling on the floor, and then if one of your party members hits you, so actually attacks you whilst you're crawling on the floor, that's how you bring them back to life.
Okay, wicked.
The more they die, the more hits it takes to bring them back to life.
Why did you die? Get up and help fight. Get back up now.
Also, you can use, so you remember I mentioned the ultimate attacks?
Yes.
Such as having the massive fire punch or the Guardian jumping in the air and landing back down. They can also be used as an attack to help bring your party members back to life.
Okay. So there's like a real utility to these as well. They're not just purely for attacking an enemy. You can actually use these skills in different ways to support the party. It's clever.
But if, for example, no one's able to save you and you're crawling on the floor and you run out of time, you do come back, but you lose a level, you drop your runes that you've picked up, and if you've picked up any perks, such as like, oh, this perk helps damage negation, it may be turned into a debuff. Because I had it, for example, when I came back, suddenly it said, you take more damage now.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. So really, you don't want to be dying, essentially.
No, that's like a real sort of risk-reward thing again then, isn't it? If you're taking perks and they could all turn on you if you do go down at any point. Oh, man, extra.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to think carefully. Got to think carefully about what you're doing.
And if no one saves you during a boss fight, you're permanently dead until the boss is defeated.
Oh, wow, okay. Okay,
so
wow.
This isn't for the optional bosses in the world. This is for, like, the 3 main bosses.
Okay,
so
right.
you can be crawling on the floor and you can still come back, but if you run out of time when you're crawling on the floor, you are permanently gone until that boss is defeated.
Blimey, that creates such a sense of, like, epicness, doesn't it, though, with those boss fights? Like, you have to make sure you're ready, the 3 of you go in, and it could all go quite wrong. It could go down to one of those key moments, can one of the players hold on and get the win? I love that, though. It creates a real sense of epicness. I'm into it.
It really does, and honestly, the things that are on the map, there's so many things to explore and do. You really need to time and plan and communicate what it is you're thinking of doing in the time limit before you fight the boss of that day/night. As I mentioned, Site of Graces is where you level up. You've got churches, which is where you can get more flask uses. Caves, where we went into a cave and found some smithing stones to level up our weapons.
Yeah.
You've got the towers, which we found were really good for the recluse build. So every time we really wanted to make sure our recluse was a really strong mage, so we would try and find a tower and help them get some really good items. This is when I say it wrong. The Evergals? Is that how you say it?
I think is it Everjail? I think it's pronounced jail. It's like an old school way of spelling jail.
But you've got those as well, which give you optional mini-bosses if you have a stone sword key, ruins and castles. There's, like, that you can just explore to find chests and dungeons. There's dragons roaming the world as well.
Wow.
There's spiritual oak trees, which is where you can summon the awesome birds that can fly you across the map for a certain amount of time. There are camp settlements. You can just go and see what's there, fight some enemies. And there's so many things in the world just to discover. Like, we found a red silhouette corpse, and I was like, oh, hang on, what's this? And then that was a corpse of, like, a warrior in game, but they gave me some more items, and they were some rather good ones, if memory serves me correct.
So there's a lot going on in the world map then. So it's like exploring isn't just a matter of finding some enemies and finding some new items. There are like actual like different sort of almost like different types of places to go to that will give you different upgrades and so things you might want to target if you're going after a particular type of upgrade or something.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Like you said earlier, you can sort of you can try to look at the map as you're sort of landing, and then you can try to sort of plan your approach. It's just great. It all sounds really, really cool to me.
It really is, and not only that as well, but you also have these. I mean, at least we saw it was like this black droopy orb thing in the sky, and we thought, what's this? And literally, it just dropped a random encounter on us, and we had like an army of ants that literally then just started charging at us, and also. Our lovely friend Margaret the Fell Omen can appear as a random encounter.
Oh, right, randomly. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so literally we had it where we were just running around, suddenly we heard him talking, and he started chasing us on the map. And he was not letting us go. So again, there's so much excitement, and whenever he pops in, we all just thought, "Oh no," because we knew he was coming for us.
It just sounds like the game's going to be full of surprises. There's going to be so much cool stuff that players are going to discover, and the runs are all going to be different and full of those surprises.
Yeah, and just very quickly, I won't go in depth about the bosses we fought, just to save that for a surprise and everything, because honestly, seeing some of these, you're just like, "Oh God." But the final boss was like this 3-headed dog, and it was in like its own massive arena, and it was really cool to fight. And when you defeat a boss, like any boss, this can be an optional boss as well as one of the 3 main bosses, but you have a little statue that allows you to pick one of 3 benefits. So that's also a way then that you can decide, do I want this weapon, or do I want this perk, or do I want this talisman? So again, you're under pressure of thinking, okay, how do I want my build to go here? What do I want? What am I going to get because it's random? It's just incredibly exciting. And I absolutely loved my time with it. The hours flew by.
It sounds, I was excited anyway, but now I'm about 100 times more excited.
But that's been my, rough explanation on what Elden Ring Nightreign is like. Thank you, Alex, so much for listening to me just
honestly
enthusiastically talk about this.
Rosie, I would happily listen to you all day. I'm so excited for this game, and I can't wait to go on some expeditions with you. Let's go!
Let's go! And, of course, thank you all at home so much for listening and watching as well. If you like the video, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this, and hit the notification bell so that you stay up to date with the world of PlayStation. Thank you all so much for watching.
PlayStation